Good evening, and a warm welcome to Phil's Corner Live. And it's been a couple of weeks. Good to be back. Some of you know I was a little bit ill, so I missed a bit of time. But we are back in the hot seat to talk about football shirts live tonight. Around a couple of topics. One of them being eBay. We'll jump on eBay and see what we can find. eBay is always a fun place to go for football shirts. And we will also be ranking shirts on the Hot Wall, our tier list. Great to see Brock already. Hello, Brock. Good to see you, mate. He says he just ordered one of the Phil's Corner Icarus Cup shirts. Good stuff, Brock. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean that's fun. I actually just posted the shirts to my patrons, so some of those guys have already been receiving them this week, which has been pretty cool to see. Always cool to see stuff in the wild, and I really think the Icarus Cup shirt is by far the boldest, craziest design I've done to date. But I hope you're well, guys, and as people start to filter in, yeah, how are things? What's the latest shirts you've been adding to your collection? Have you got anything to show off? But I hope you're well, and of course you guys know what we do. As well as talking about eBay, talking about the latest shirts, we'll just chat for the next hour and a half or so, hour and a half, 2 hours. Quick bit of housekeeping as well. What we'll probably do going forward is that we will likely only stream on a Tuesday when it isn't the Champions League night. it's not necessarily a permanent change, but I think those Champions League nights, of course, a lot of people are watching those games, and I think just to kind of keep it fresh, we'll probably not stream on those Champions League nights, which of course come around every so often, but otherwise Tuesday evening at this time will be the place to be. Good stuff. I will open up eBay in the background. As you can see tonight, I'm wearing an old All Blacks training, kind of leisure wear top. The Rugby World Cup final was, as an All Blacks fan, it's not a New York shirt, Brock. Yeah, as an All Blacks fan, Saturday was somewhat frustrating, shall we say? But I thought I'd represent it anyway. We had chances to win. We missed a couple of kicks at the end, so can't really complain too much. But anyway, if there are any South Africans in the chat, feel free to gloat somewhat. Yeah, Brock, it was a funny old game. Oh, nice. Brock said he got the 2023 All Blacks shirt. Very good stuff. I don't actually have many All Blacks shirts in my collection. I should probably sort that out, really. Right, guys, let me just I need to make sure we're in the right scene. Here we go. You know the drill. We are gonna literally use a very broad term, and in this case I've just searched football shirts. Nice, and Boxing's got the last year's Maori All Black shirt. I forget which one last year's was now, but those ones can be really cool. And part of the fun of eBay, it's not just actually buying stuff, it's just seeing what's around. So, you can get an idea of things like prices, market value. Interesting already, there's some notable kits here. One of them being this Liverpool shirt. Now, there is some damage to the sponsor here. Hey Dan, good to see you. Hope you're well. Welcome to Phil's Corner Live. So you can see some damage to the sponsor there. But I'm always intrigued because shirts like this, can often really help fill out a collection. Now, again, there is some damage. So if you're looking for a shirt in excellent condition, this probably wouldn't come under that bracket. But for £4, and the postage isn't. It could be cheaper, but you're looking at potentially a tenner all in. This is a nice kind of pickup. Of course, the Warrior years were a funny time for Liverpool, but I don't think this one actually is too bad at all. And again, eBay is a great place for this sort of stuff. Of course, we all want the big amazing purchases, the kind of holy grails for bargain prices. But this is the bread and butter of eBay. And again, there is damage to that sponsor. Were that in perfect condition, I'd be tempted even at this price, to be honest, at £4. So there we go. Good stuff. Nice pickup for whoever won that. Also intrigued by this old Burnley shirt. Now, this is one of, if not the most famous Burnley design of the 90s. It's certainly up there, from the classic brand Ribeiro. Now, again, there is some damage, which is fairly consistent with age. And you can see things like, all the sponsors at this time, these kind of puffy felt sponsors, a lot of them succumb to this sort of damage and discoloration over time. But the crest isn't in bad nick, and overall it looks pretty good. Now, this is a kid's size, which obviously does change the value significantly. So we've got here approximately 9 to 10. As many of you will know, and we talk about it a lot on the channel, you pay a lot less for kids' shirts, so much so that you can get, let's say a shirt's worth £100 in adult size. It's not uncommon to get that for way under half in a kid's size, for obvious reasons. But it's a great thing, again, this sort of price. Now, there is some damage, but for me, if I'm a Burnley fan and my kid or a friend or relative or someone is looking for a shirt in a kid's size, you could be getting this sort of shirt and that's less than, of course, like a score draw shirt or a retro remake. And I'm pretty sure Burnley probably do remakes of this kit. And I'd much rather have the vintage one. It's probably going to feel a bit better, and at the very least, I think it's just a bit more interesting. Of course, things like damage do come into consideration, but at the end of the day, yeah, I like this sort of pickup. So not ones we're going to bid on there, but two really, I would say, really worthwhile items. Just realised I've not done it by ending sooner, so we will do that now. Right, cool. So what else have we got? Just the other week, we had a big win with the Boca Juniors shirt, which I did take pictures of on, and I shared them around on Twitter. So that was good fun. But what can we find? Strike Force. That is I've never come across that manufacturer before. I'm not sure if that is an own brand one or what have you, but that's an interesting Bristol Rovers shirt from 2004. Pretty smart, it must be said, with the sash there, and that's all the way on the back. Look at that. A lot of big brands don't do that. Fair play to Strike Force. That is just peak kind of noughties lower league stuff right there. Good stuff from Bristol Rovers. And guys, as people do filter in, switch back over. Just a reminder that we will be here for about the next hour and a half or so. But do stick any questions in the chat. If you've got any questions about shirts, so about what we're talking about, stick them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. But let's continue. So, that's the Burnley shirt there. That is just about to finish. Let's see what that goes for. 15 quid. It's the kind of thing where, again, despite the damage, I really do think this is a nice sort of pickup. And it's again the bread and butter of eBay. So good stuff. A couple of nice pickups for some people there. But let's continue. Now, as we skim through, a lot of the time, one of the first things to look for is does a listing have bids? That's like a very small thing. Bodyline, another. I love these niche manufacturers. Look at that, the most sort of generic looking logo you could find for this Rotherham shirt, which is in very good nick actually, to be honest. Very well preserved. A simple design, it must be said, but I do like the old Coca-Cola League patches. Look at the detail there. Look at the it looks like TPE, it looks like plastic. And the ridges there. That's a very nice looking sleeve patch. Perhaps a little bit bent on the sleeve, but nothing too bad. And that's great. So not one again we'll bid for, but what's that? 14.50. What's the size? That's obviously a big consideration. So size XL, which I would say typically medium or large is the sweet spot, or at least that's kind of we'd expect to be the most expensive listings, I should say. So an XL, sometimes you do save a bit of money compared to a large. But yeah, really, I don't remember this one at all. It's a fairly forgettable design, but it's in the same breath you could say it's quite timeless. It's funny how these simple sort of simple styles, no pattern, no kind of crazy design, but actually they do have a timeless quality to them, especially in this condition. So notable that there's a reserve, not the kind of shit you'd expect to find a reserve price for, but let's see what that one goes for. Got a Villa shirt here again, so a lot of activity tonight. I couldn't tell you much about this one. I don't even know the year, in all honesty. Okay, so it's the seller's saying it was from last year. Yeah, 15 quid. Honestly, I wouldn't have expected this to be on for much more from the club's shop at the end of the year. But keeper kits are funny. Sometimes they do actually have a lot of popularity, and sometimes you can say a kit like this can actually be quite hard to come by. By that I mean a keeper kit, especially if it's not the kind of primary keeper kit. So it's the kind of thing where sometimes they have surprising value. I couldn't tell you specifically about this filler kit, but yeah, the fact it's got a bid at all at 15 quid suggests that perhaps it wasn't necessarily available for super cheap at the end of last year. But the Rotherham shirt looks like that wasn't met in the end. And indeed the Villa shirt there. Let's continue. What else can we find? Now this Brazil shirt, I believe I'm right in saying this was worn on the pitch as opposed to being like a training wear item. But I forget the. Well, let's go to our good old friends at Old Football Shirts. My personal go-to site for kit history. We use it all the time here. We are simply trying to verify. So 2014 away. Yep, that checks out. And indeed, this particular shirt looks to be in pretty good nick. Size medium, which you like to see. Oh, it's actually from Bernardo's. This is a big charity here in the UK. They might even be worldwide, actually. And they do sell stuff at a reasonable, reasonable starting price. From what I can see, there's nothing which is off-putting in terms of authenticity. Villa shirt went 15 quid in the end. So, had we more time, we would be able to kind of do a bit more of a search for things like price, because one of the things I want to find out is what is this going for elsewhere. We're probably let's have a look, see if we can do it in 40 seconds. I don't know how easily we'll be able to do that. So again, I've got one for 32 quid from Football Kit Market. So a very, very quick search suggests and vintage football shirts. So I think it's fair to say that if we went in for something like 15 quid, that would be a nice pickup. I'm not really going to go any higher, I don't think, especially because of the postage. But I think at 15 quid, I'd be happy. And indeed, we are winning with 14.50. This is the kind of pickup where I'd buy it, photograph it, and would probably sell it on. And I wouldn't expect to make much profit. I probably would be looking to get about 30 quid for it. But I would feel pretty comfortable selling it for that. Especially, again, you're looking at... So if you take vintage football shirts, a bit like classic football shirts, they're gonna charge a bit more. But that did sell at £50. And indeed... where did we find it? The Football Kit Market, which is a great seller. Again, that sold for 30 quid. So I think we could say the market value of this is something around 30 to 40. Yeah, it's funny with Rodrigo. So Rodrigo's saying, "Oh wow, I didn't know eBay doesn't add a bit of time if someone snaps a bid." Yeah, so it's funny because there are situations where I think, is it a setting, or maybe I'm wrong, that I think there is a way. Again, don't quote me on this, and then this might change, but I'm sure there is there are scenarios where they do add time and there's someone they don't, but I might be wrong on that. I'm sure I've had that happen to me before, but indeed, we jumped in there at the last second. Frustrating as a buyer, the amount of auctions I've lost and stuff like that. But there we go. That's a great pickup. So in a minute, that was like real time there. It was a question of, is that a good price? What do these go for? I must say, it's the kind of shirt where sometimes you get shirts like this, and some of my favourite shirts like to wear, like if I'm playing sport or whatever, are these sorts of pickups. I don't, sometimes I buy a shirt thinking, I'll probably sell that one on, and I end up keeping it because it's really comfortable or whatever. So there we go. A nice little pickup to start the evening. What are we on there? So 19 quid all in. Pretty happy with that. Certainly not a crazy bargain, but I would say below market value by a little bit. And certainly the kind of thing again where in a few months' time I will probably try and sell it, make a little profit. If not, even if I sell it for what I paid for, I'm not too disappointed. Good stuff. Yeah, that was like speed research, but we did it. Good way to start. What else can we find? See here, another one from Bernardo's. This is a Arsenal shirt, which I think is, for me, it was a bit of an underrated design. You can see some bobbling, I should say, sorry, and a bit of damage. But the Podolski name set is pretty fun, and 17 quid. And again, Bernardo's are a big charity. They probably undoubtedly they have tons of stuff. You can see a number of Arsenal shirts appear to be ending soon. There'll be all sorts on there, but very interesting. Indeed, a tenner. This is like really good prices, to be honest, for these shirts. Who have we got here? We got a DeAndre Yedlin USA shirt. Now I quite like this USA shirt. It's a little bit on the kind of printer cartridge running out of ink side, and there is some damage there. 30 quid. It's more than I would probably want to go in for just with the sort of blind bid. But with the name set, it's the kind of thing where that probably isn't actually too bad a price. Now again, there is some damage there, which looks to be, it could be a hole, or maybe it's just permanent marker, not sure. There is a make an offer option, but we're a bit late to kind of bid for that one. And indeed, no bids suggest that perhaps it's not the craziest of deals, but that's the kind of thing where if we had a bit more time, we could look at it. And honestly, 30 quid doesn't seem too bad for me. I would estimate it to be worth a bit more, at least if you saw it at a typical retailer. But lots happening, so this is interesting. We've got some big auctions here. One of the classic Newcastle shirts. Now we'll briefly touch on this United shirt, the infamous grey shirt. Honestly, a pretty good price, and you can see there's a bit of activity, so this one could rise even in the last few minutes. But again, from a charity, see, it's funny how these charity shops, I mean, at the end of the day, it works out better for them. They probably get more, don't they, from these auctions than they do selling it in the stores. But you can see there, that's interesting just to see the price of this one. 65 quid, looks like a good pickup to me. It's in large as well, so don't mind that at all for all parties. And this is a very notable auction. Now this is the creme de la creme of Newcastle shirts. £250 honestly looks like a great deal. Now of course, if you're going to be spending this amount on eBay, you really want to look at things like double checking authenticity. Notable that this says it's brand new with tags. Now let's have a look at the tags, because I can't see the tags on there. Now with a shirt like this, given how there should be plenty of pictures online which would help you verify the authenticity of it. So because I would assume that tag to me, and I'm not an expert, I'm not so sure about. I'm surprised that's the look of the tag, but I don't want to get bogged down too much. Again, if you're going to be spending this much, you should really be double checking, and that might be the right tag. So don't quote me on that. But just this shirt again. If this was assuming authenticity and things like that with a name set, I wouldn't expect this to be on something like a classic football shirts for more than this price. Yeah, I mean, Rodrigo, I'm with you there, saying 9597 Bunny tags numbering in that good nick, unless this has been high security vault. Until now, it sounds iffy. Yeah, there's definitely something which is not vibing with me here either, but we'll move on and not spend too much time on this. But yeah, again, an authentic one of these would be worth a lot of money. And it's funny how the kind of modern day situation does impact vintage kit. So when a team is on the up again, a team like Newcastle, all the investment, all the eyes on them, you know, they've got documentaries and all sorts happening. People do, at least anecdotally from what I see, they do go out and try and pick up vintage kits. And it's the kind of thing where, you know, if you're maybe looking to sell a shirt, you know, and you have the luxury of waiting, you don't, you know, have to sell it at a certain point. If you have a vintage Newcastle kit, now would be a good time if you were to sell it, if you wanted to sell it, to do so with a bit more interest around the team. And you know, it's the kind of thing where not many people are in that specific situation, but it does happen. If you get an old kit, you're less likely to be called a glory hunter, says Rodrigo. Exactly. That that's one thing I've often come back to, and I certainly noticed it. You know, you see it with many teams, and I think what's funny is if you were a fan. So let's say you were a City fan in the 90s. Yeah, you want to let people know that you were there when they were down in Division 2 and things like that. And an old kit is, of course, not just a remake, but like a genuine vintage kit is a great way to do that. This, of course, the Drake shirt has a lot of value. I don't know if this is genuine or not. Nothing too dodgy there. Ideally, we would see the small inside label so we could search the product code. The fact that's not there is a bit, unfortunate, but we'll move on for that one. But yeah, I think Rodrigo spot on, and I think it's even if your club hasn't been taken over, kind of thing. There's an element of that, of the kind of that authenticity argument, as in fan, kind of being able to say, yeah, I was there before it was cool type thing. Gotta love this Brazil Total 90 shirt, and I'm actually curious. I mean, it's funny because we've already bought a Brazil shirt tonight. Let's have a look. What I don't know what the going rate of a Total 90 shirt is for Brazil, to be honest. Of course, these are certainly one of the more popular teams, and you see a lot of these knocking about. I would estimate this to be around probably still 50-60 quid, I think, because the template does carry a bit of weight. But let's have a look. Let's do the search. Let's try and find this shirt online. There's nothing special about what we're doing here. We are literally just sticking it into Google. Of course, we're then looking at things like, well, basically any listings we can find that are genuine, and we can see already some interesting results. So classic, we don't have the price on here, so we'll move on. So vintage football shirts. Now it's worth noting that, of course, the prices of this listing will be at the time it was sold. So if you're looking at some listings, like old listings, the price could be a lot lower, but you tend to know they're older because they had a certain way of taking photos with like a mannequin in the dark background. That's getting a bit niche, but basically this is a listing of the last few years probably. So 50 quid for a size small. Now you pay a little bit less than a small, but for a large, okay, so this is if it's 50 quid of vintage football shirts, these guys aren't quite as expensive as classic usually, but they are a bit like classic. The kit man, now the pictures haven't loaded, but 20 quid, again out of stock. But okay, so we're looking at perhaps, and there's one in stock at Historic Football Shirts, for 50 quid. So I think I'd be comfortable saying the market value of this one is around 30 to 40 perhaps. We could say 30 though. And as such, at this price, I think I'd probably be out. Now, it is a good price. And the thing is, if you're looking for this shirt, and this is in large, so it's in great size, and the condition looks very good. So I would certainly be tempted, and to be honest, I am still tempted. I think because we've already got an auction, we've already won an auction, we'll probably leave this for someone else. But with 5 minutes to go, you know, and again, this is not like an extensive search on Google, but clearly the shirt is being sold for a bit more, and you can see, you know, it's a fairly available shirt. And that's the thing, these shirts are going to be quite widely available, which is good. You know, it means that people can get their hands on it for a good price. We do say most big teams total shirts will probably go for 30 plus. I'd love to get a Portugal one day. Yeah, the Portugal ones are awesome. I mean, I have the Portugal home total 90 with the name and number of Helder Postiga, which is a funny name set, especially as someone from England, given that Postiga was part of the team that knocked us out in 2004. But I love the shirt, and it's funny. I really like that like unorthodox name set. I mean, the total 90 numbers are awesome, aren't they? You can see. Well, here's one from Classic Football Shirts, which has the name and number of Ronaldo. Now, the price of this one is very high. I think it was, rather ridiculous price. That is in US dollars for some reason, so we'll switch over to pounds. But still, very high. With a Panenka no less, indeed, Rodrigo. I have vivid memories. That was one of my first tournaments, or at least the first tournament. Well, I watched a bit of Year 2000, but I was a little bit young. Whereas the Year 2004 was the first Euros I kind of fully watched from start to finish. And yeah, you don't have to remind me. Oh man, good to see Lafree. In fact, my most recent patron, so thank you to you, my friend. Good to see you here. So do you have a favourite country for international shirts? I'm too loyal to my club to collect many club kits, but international kits are fair games fee. I like that. I like that rule. In terms of favourite international team, it would probably have to be Japan. I think Japan, they've got a bit of everything. They've got the history in terms of the great 90s kits, but their modern kits are awesome too. And I think if I could only collect from one country, it would probably be Japan. Now, I do have a lot of love for, well, several countries, but I think they're one where I keep going back to, and I don't have a lot of Japan shirts. I've got a handful. They might be the country I've got the most kits of, actually. Yeah, good question. What about yourself? And indeed anyone else in the chat? That's a good question, because I think there's something to be said about that. You know, when like club loyalties do shape our collections a lot, don't they? Sometimes people won't collect, an Everton fan won't collect red kits because of the obvious association with Liverpool and stuff like that. Now, I'm actually a bit weird, and I even said this on the BBC when I did my brief interview, that I would collect an Everton kit as a Liverpool fan, and the presenter did joke that I probably wouldn't be allowed at Anfield anytime soon for saying that. But it is funny. I do find it interesting how club loyalties do shape. And Rodrigo says, very strong World Cup 2022 kits from Japan. Indeed, very strong. And a good tournament from Adidas in general. Very much so. I need to switch that over. I do apologise. Sorry, you just got a shot of my Streamlabs there. Rodrigo, thank you for subbing, my friend. Welcome to the Fool's Corner family. Now I've just messed up my settings. There we go. And Rodrigo's saying, sorry, did I comment on this? I don't know if I did, but Netherlands kits are awesome. That's another great shout. I mean, the consistency, a Netherlands kit is always going to have that iconic or home kit. It's kind of the iconic orange colour. This is an underrated Benfica shirt. Let's come on to that shortly. Firstly, let's see. So interested to see some more activities. You can see here, and I think this is largely a product of the fact that this particular shirt is not only is it in great condition, but it's in a really good size. So you can see at 22 quid, this is, you know, still a good price, still below market value, but not kind of drastically below. But it's a good pickup, and it's the kind of thing where I like it at this price. I would certainly be tempted, had we not already got the 2014 kit tonight. I think that one would have some legs. And the 3 being American, I have mostly US kits. Very nice, very nice. My favourite international kit is that you own is a 2020 Netherlands home. So some more Netherlands love. Some yeah, good stuff. Now I'm trying to remember which one the 2020 kit, the 2020 home kit is. Oh yeah, nice. This was a really cool one, and you know, I personally quite like the black as the secondary colour. I know obviously Netherlands have a lot of kits where they use white, but this was an awesome shirt and a really good one to collect. Actually, we saw sort of a bit of a mini trend of this kind of fractal style. This was perhaps the best of that style, certainly up there. So really nice kit. I'd kind of forgotten about that one actually, and it's only a few years old. Crazy how quickly we move on. So there we go. The Brazil shirt there, the Total 9 shirt. Oh, sorry. I did well to last 40 minutes before the first yawn of the night. The Brazil shirt there. Yeah, under 30 quid. Good stuff. And it's been fun just to talk about 2090. Interestingly, we have this great Inter shirt. Now, unfortunately, the price of this one is a bit high, so we won't bid on it, but and you can see some of the damage there. But this was, again, just a like, for me personally, I was watching so much football this time. I was really into you know, like into the game more than I am now, to be honest, in terms of just watching it and keeping up to date with leagues around the world, and of course the kits, and just like playing FIFA or PES or Football Manager, whatever I could get my hands on. Well, around this time I was more of a FIFA guy, despite the superiority of PES in this time. But anyway, I digress. A great kit. Now the price of this one, we will move on from this, but you know, definitely the kind of thing where if that was a bit less, I'd be tempted. I'd certainly we'd want to do that same kind of research process that we did before, trying to find the kit, trying to establish market value, and seeing what sort of price this is worth. At 52 quid, that's a bit rich for me, but there we go. Rodrigo sent that Benfica kit, which we're looking at here now. It's funny because the shorts are black, and I remember at the time a meme where they put some straps on the shoulders and made the players like farmers. Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, I must say, personally, though this template does really have a training shirt feel about it, at this price, this feels like an easy pickup. Now, again, we're looking at various things here in terms of like, okay, firstly, is it genuine? Now we've got a good number of pictures. We do see the missing O on the climate core. That's not too bad. There's some very, very minor damage. I wouldn't really count that too much. A bit of fraying in the edge of the crest, but not too bad. It's certainly not, you know, it's in very good to excellent condition, I would say. Anytime you can get a shirt for this sort of price, I think it's an easy pickup. Now again, we want to look at things like size. So here we go. This immediately kind of takes us out of the running. It's a size boys 13 to 14, so it's not in the size we'd want to pick up. Having said that, and of course you can see that on the label there pretty clearly, you know, of course, again, it's the kind of price where if you have someone that you could buy this for, it would be potentially not a bad little deal. Nice little kind of stocking filler. And again, what's that? £4, £7 all in. Not bad at all. But not one will go for it. Were it in a men's size, I think we would probably be looking to bid, certainly at this price, to get a nice little bargain. But that's okay. We will move on. And what are we on? 8:45. So we've got a bit more time, and then I think we'll head over to the hot wall and we'll start ranking some shirts. Now, I want to see this mullet 10. Ah, yes, ruined football shirts. Always good. Always a good laugh. Yeah, not much to be said about this one. I mean, the funny thing is, this was a very popular Liverpool shirt. Completely ruined with the name set. But that is funny. That is funny. Just check that's all looking fine. Let's continue. See what else we can find. I hope this double screen's okay, actually. Is that... Yeah, I hope that's okay. Let me know if that looks alright, or if that... I think I'm just checking my... Yeah, I think that should be good. What else can we find? What else is available? As I'm scrolling through, not too much is catching my eye. And that's okay. Having already got the Brazil shirt, it's already been successful. Ballon, good to see it. Any treats so far? This is 2 hour stream coach. Yeah, it'll be approximately kind of 1.5 to 2 hours. I think what I'm kind of aiming for is I'll probably sort of aim for around an hour and a half plus. So by that I mean we'll sort of pitch it around there, and then if there's some more questions or we're kind of there's a few more shirts you want to rank on the hot wall, we'll kind of keep going. That's my general gist. But yeah, we have already got a win, and that was the Brazil 2014 shirt. And I'll just bring it up here. We got this for $14.50, so I was very happy with that pickup. The kind of shirt where it's one which I'll potentially keep if it fits good, if it feels good to wear. But if not, I'd be pretty happy and pretty confident being able to get a little bit more money off that. Maybe sell it for kind of 30 quid or so. I reckon that's my kind of thinking. But yeah, nice little pickup. And indeed, we spent a bit of time talking about Total 90, and we looked at the Brazil again, the Brazil away, Total 90 this time, which was from 2004. I didn't get that one in the end, but it did go for a decent price. And there's some other pickups or potential pickups that we talked about at the start of the stream, which you can of course check out at a later date. Or can you even rewind the live streams? I forget now what YouTube lets you do or not do. Talking Netherlands, as we did earlier, this is an interesting shirt. Now, it says it's signed. It's always funny when a shirt like this is signed. Yeah, purchase at a charity auction, no idea who signed it. Without that knowledge, it might as well be a damaged shirt. And that's the funny thing. People often ask me, is a signed shirt worth more than an unsigned shirt? And I would say that, sorry, I would say the funny thing is, in this scenario, okay, it says turns what you said. So if you let people rewind, okay, I can't remember honestly what I've said it as. I have a feeling you can, but I might be wrong on that. Regardless, thank you. Yeah, so in this scenario, I would actually say this shirt is worth less than a plain shirt, simply because there's no proof of who signed it. But that's the kind of thing where it's still potentially worth a pickup. But I would personally stay away from signed shirts. Slightly rewind, good stuff, Rodrigo, good stuff. Yeah, interesting. I mean, that shirt, without the signature, it's a shame because I really didn't like the neckline on the 2018 Nike shirts, but a lot of the designs I actually think are pretty good. And I really I've got one of the New Zealand shirts from that time. And it's a grey shirt, but the neckline is kind of naff, the kind of drop V. Not for me personally, I would say. Ooh, this is a fun shirt. A Hammarby shirt. Now this one is definitely one we will look at a bit more. Okay. Let's come on to this one because I think Naughty's Kappa, always great. And really cool to see a team you don't see a lot of Hammarby shirts knocking about. They're Swedish, aren't they, I believe. I hope I got that right. But this will be a fun one to look at. Now it's worth noting that already in a quick search, these do seem to be what have we got here? We've got a listing here. That's actually on old football shirts. I'm guessing that was an old eBay listing. You can see Vintage Football Shirts has an XS that's sold for 30. Now you can see again, we talked about the being able to kind of roughly date the shirts based on the pictures. So this is there was an even older set of pictures, so I forget exactly what range, but we're looking at least a few years ago. But still, I think we could say, okay, for a large, something like, it's a bit like the Brazil shirt, something like 40 quid, 30 to 40 quid. It's a training shirt, interesting. Right. So this is definitely one I think we want to bid for, because I mean, if we can get this for under 20 quid, I'd be really happy. Honestly, I would be tempted to stretch a little bit more, just because it does have this kind of I just really like the cover shirts of this era. The paneling is interesting, and the visible stitching I think is such a nice look. Good question here from Maduga. Says, are old cover kits true to size, or were they always a size tighter? Now, from memory, they were tighter, but not as tight as so I think it would be one size up. I might be wrong on that. Of course, it might vary across country and things like that. But this is definitely one. Okay, so this is one. Well, we'll come back to this one. What's that? At the end of the stream. Lefree also saying, I personally would never buy an autograph shirt. I want to wear my shirts. An autograph, especially available, will prevent me from wearing it. That's a great point, and I'm of a similar mindset. I think I can see the appeal if you know you're gonna like frame a shirt, sure, a signature, and if you know where the signatures come from, that can be really cool. That can really help kind of tell a story about a kit. But broadly speaking, I would prefer to have an autograph shirt. In fact, it's Kappa Green, and from 2005 it's running with Werder Bremen when they were good. Yeah, it's got the Werder Bremen, the Betis vibe. I just really like this kit, and I actually don't know if I have. Do I have any? Well, in terms of the team, Hammarby, I actually don't know if I have a Swedish kit in my collection. I was just going to look at the table here and look at the teams. Okay, so I've definitely had Swedish shirts come through my hands over the years. We've got the likes of AK, Malmo, and there's a few others. But yeah, it's not a league I often dip into. I always like to as well when you see an interesting shirt. It's always fun to look at the seller. So the seller has very good ratings, which is good to see. You mentioned Werder Bremen, Rodrigo. Here we have a Werder Bremen shirt, and this was a really fun one. This did actually end up, I believe, making its way to the discount retailer M&M Direct. So this was actually available for very cheap, possibly a bit more than £10, but it's a great little design. I think it's got quite a nice look to it. I think a little bit abstract. Nice potential addition to the basket, and indeed that is the only listings there. But I really like this one, and I think again, if we can get this from 20 quid, I'll be really happy. I would be tempted to bid a bit more as well, but for now, let's keep that one on the back burner. Yeah, Rodriguez, and that is ingrained in my head for how many times I saw it on Eminem Direct. It's funny, isn't it? There's just a selection of shirts which collectively as a community we know as Eminem Direct shirts. And shout out to Eminem Direct for all the great, stuff they did. Oh, sorry. Of course they're still going. They kind of raised their prices a bit. There was that period where they had the Columbia shirts for $10, and it was such an amazing time. Yeah, it was just really fun to see a brand just go kind of all out for cheap discount kits, and they won a lot of fans, rightly so. Right, with this kind of pending, let us come to the Hot Wall. Right, I'll just switch over. Now, what I will do is open up in the background as we chat. But guys, I thought that was a pretty successful little stint on eBay. We've got the Brazil shirt, which we need to pay for actually at the end of the stream. We've got that, and potentially the Hammarby shirt. Certainly one we will, at the end of the stream, we'll jump back to eBay and see what that one goes for. And if it goes for a good price, I might add that one as well. Rodrigo said, I'm regretting not getting one of those Grey Mare shirts. Yeah, the Grey Mare shirts were great. They just had some really good deals. They really did kind of maximise that end of the market. I just realised I'm slightly wonky there. My screen is a bit wobbly. That's slightly better. Or maybe the picture's not straight. Anyway, I'm just opening up the Hot Wall. Now, I will make a confession, guys. I've still not had a chance to backdate the wall, and I've just been so busy doing other stuff. So unfortunately, there are still gaps in this Hot Wall. However, as it loads, and we'll come on to that very shortly, we've still got a good selection of stuff, and of course, despite the gaps, we've still got plenty to sink our teeth into. If I just quickly, again, I'm just trying to tidy up this document slightly before I switch over, just so it's not a complete mess. But today, of course, as we have been doing on these streams, we're going to be jumping in to the latest releases and trying to basically see, can we get a few more shirts into the top tier, into the Volcano tier. So we're nearly there. Perfect. Let's switch over. Now, as you can see, guys, we have got the Hot Wall right in front of us. This is our giant tier list, a tier list which contains most of the shirts released this year. Again, there are some big gaps from when we missed weeks. So if your favourite shirt isn't on here, it's probably just simply because we haven't come on to it yet. But one of the things we're doing this year compared to previous years, we are actually also tracking a brand. Broadly speaking, as we add shirts to the list, we're kind of moving a brand up and down this tier list as well. Of course, there's a kind of quality over quantity situation where if you've got a brand who've only released a few shirts that are very good, they're obviously an advantage compared to the likes of like a Nike or Adidas who release tons of kits. But, immediately what's cool is we can kind of say, okay, which brands am I liking at the moment? And the likes of Mizuno, Diadora, doing some really, really good work. Maber, Kelme, Asics. So nice to see some kind of smaller names. But of the big names, I mean, you can see, for example, I'm not really high on Puma this year, as I am with Hummel. I am quite biased, but, Armani, I mean, notable, because, again, I'm only working with Napoli, but I really liked their Halloween shirt, so much so that was in the Volcano tier, so that really pushed them up. So some storylines have already emerged. Of course, we are also using football shirt culture. Now this And again, apologies. I'm really there we go. Let's get a full screen situation. Yeah, this is my go-to site for new kits, and I'm really glad we're starting with the Cologne Carnival kit. This one is excellent. It's just been released by Hummel. What's really Carnival shirts are this excellent kind of subgenre. Typically, German teams, a number of German teams, German clubs, release Carnival shirts. Carnivals, are quite big in the country. I mean, I don't need to I couldn't give you a history or a breakdown, but whether it's typically around this time of year, we see German clubs release these types of shirts, and this is a really fun one. And what I love about this, that just look at that detail with the goats in the pattern there, and yes, there's a plain back, but the way that the stripes kind of cut away or kind of form the V as they do on the front, it's not the worst kind of look. And certainly the impact here, you've got what I assume is the city emblem. It's great, and I think this is absolutely in the conversation for this higher end of the list. So let's just cut it out and we'll consider, is this a Volcano t-shirt? I think it could be. I mean, I really do think, again, if we're talking about this kind of style of shirt, the Carnival shirts, I really like this approach where, of course, it's got elements of a typical Cologne shirt, but the extra jazz, the extra flair. I mean, look at these details here, these little embroidered details, absolutely brilliant. I do like the chevrons there as well. Inside net detail. I think we're going to put this in the Volcano too, guys. We've not had many kits, but I do think this feels quite nice in this sort of area. I think if we stick it around here, well, you know what? I kind of like it around where I've put my Icarus Cup shirt there. So let's go here. Let's go down there, and that's another Volcano t-shirt. So we're starting very, very strong. And Hummel, again, we'll bump them up slightly. Yeah, good stuff. I mean, the thing is, what was really cool about this, and we're not taking price into account with the hot wall, but this shirt was, I believe, only €90 with the box, so very reasonably priced. Now that is from Germany, and I don't know if they ship, to the UK, for example, but overall, big fan, and I really do think, again, this tradition of Carnival shirts is an excellent one. So that is a hot start. Will it continue? We've got a few big teams still to come. Let's go to Atalanta now. Now we're very much in kind of third kit territory, aren't we? Most teams have released their third kits. This one, I must say, is not grabbing me. Now it's got one of the prevailing trends of the last few years, maps. It's got a map based pattern here. I don't mind the kind of subliminal nature of it. I think there's something to be said about that. But it is a little bit underwhelming. I mean, maybe it's just the colour as well. It's, Atalanta have such a strong theme for their home kits, certainly. And even their away kits typically are quite nice. The red here, it's a good differentiating kind of, it's separated itself from the other kits in their catalogue this year, but not really feeling it. The sponsor isn't great up there, or it's at least a little bit large. I think this one has the feeling, honestly, of a low-end Candle tier kit, and the Candle tier, which is our third tier, is, it's competitive. There's actually quite a few shirts in this tier which aren't bad at all, but there's just things missing. I think in this case the map theme does feel a bit passé, and this one just, I quite like the collar. I will say that the collar, this style isn't bad at all. It's not I'm not going to set the world alight, but yeah, it's one of the better kind of collars you'll see style wise. But I have to kind of put it around here. It's, well, I'll bump up there. I don't want to be too harsh, but That is Joma, and it's quite reflective of where they're kind of placing in general this year for me so far. Plenty of time to come, and again we still do need to backdate a lot of kits, but that is the Atalanta third. If we now come on to Bordeaux, now this particular template feels very dated. I feel like Adidas have basically had this style. Now it is in their new construction, but honestly you could have told me that was 10 years old and I wouldn't be surprised. Thoroughly underwhelming. Yes, the colour scheme has a kind of nice, kind of vintage, broadly vintage kind of vibe about it. But again, that is the most, like, this genuinely could be several years old and I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing to write home about. This isn't actually potentially even in danger of being in the bottom tier. I think because I don't mind the colour scheme, I probably just have it in the counter tier, but we are very much in danger of going below that. I'll go on my gut and I'll stick it at the bottom of the counter tier. But this is the kind of thing, and I think Bordeaux, they're a decent sized team. They're certainly not a team who I think should be getting this kind of relatively uninspired level. Where are the details? If you're going to go with something as simple as this, that's fine. But because it is such an uninspired template where you can't even get the pin shots on the back. Yeah, very disappointing from Bordeaux and Adidas. And Adidas, I've actually been enjoying a lot of their kits this year, but we will knock them down a bit. That is the Bordeaux third shirt. Now we come to Indonesia. Semarang. This is what have we got here? I need to make sure I get this right here. So this is Rios, the brand, in-house brand. Very interesting design. We've got a kind of panelled look with a very crazy name set. I'm not super keen on the kind of design, but it is bold and creative. So even though I would say it's a little bit I don't love the kind of sketch look of the buildings, but it has a lot of impact. And I love the oversized crest there, and a very intriguing collar. It's honestly a fascinating design, and even though it's not necessarily to personal taste, full marks for kind of visual impact. So Rios, a brand who clearly absolutely going for it. I don't know if this is a league-wide typeface or the club typeface. Looks like it could be specific to the team. Crazy design from PSAS Persatuan Sepak Bola Indonesia Semarang. That is that's the third kit, and I think it's not. I don't think I'll put it in the Flames tier, but that's more of a kind of personal, like it's not quite landing with me, but I can't fault the effort. And it's kind of, we went from one extreme to the other. We just had the Bordeaux shirt where it was a very tired Adidas template, the kind of thing which you do get from the big brands often. But this is the opposite, and I do think I'll place it around here, despite my reservations. Maybe here, actually. Let's go for that gap. But that is the brand Real. So I don't think... So that's funny, but I don't think we actually looked at these guys home or away kit. So we might... That is one of those where we might want to go back and try and find them. Also, I should probably actually use slightly thinner text, shouldn't I, rather... I'll have to go and change all of them later on because it's looking a bit bold. But anyway, side point. That is the Semarang third kit. Very interesting design. Pretty cool one there. But what about Guarani? Kappa. I like the initial look of this one. And indeed, this is quite a nice looking design. It's nothing too crazy in terms of like the pattern. You know, it's not embossed or like a jacquard, which I think would really elevate it. But I like the TPU crest, and indeed there's a nice backnet detail. It's just a transfer, but it's still nice. Obviously, in true Brazilian fashion, all the sponsors do add quite a lot of busyness, but the pattern is pretty smart. Has the feel of what was kind of quite a strong style around the Italy Renaissance kit a couple of years ago. We saw kind of similar kind of pattern looks, and this one looks really good. We won't review the goalkeeper kit as we're not including goalkeeper kits on the hot wall. But this one, I would be happy to put. I think at the lower end of the Flames tier. I think this one actually does have a really nice look. I like the that color combination, that slightly almost purpley blue with the gold there. It looks good, and I think the fact that the pattern. It's a really nice level of opacity, and it does appear to go on the back. So some really nice notes here from Kappa. Generally speaking, I would say when Kappa get it right, they get it really right. I think they are. They've got a big market share as well, and they do have often, despite that broad market share, there's very little in the way of kind of recycling patterns compared to some of the other big teams. That's not to say they don't occasionally, but I think I'm happy to sneak them in the Flames tier. And let's try and find Kappa. There they are. So I think we can move them up. Maybe if we just bring Capelli down there. There we go. I do need to. This text, these brand names are too thick there, aren't they? But anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. Of course, I will say again, guys, but please do any reactions to my rankings, stick it in the chat. Always happy to debate. A couple more bids on the Hammarby shirt, but still very much in the range we're looking for, so we'll keep an eye on that as you go through. What about Ipswich? Ipswich have actually, been on the radar a bit. Umbro in general have been pretty good, particularly their low league English kits. Anything championship and below. I'd say have often been really good this season. Certainly one of the stories of the season. This is, I believe, a callback or throwback to an older kit from yes, I think it's the early 80s we're talking about here. It's fine, it's a nice look in terms of. You've got I believe that's a retro crest, so that's quite a nice addition. And the black and white, it's smart. It's nothing too exciting. I do think that sponsor, though it has, it's completely fine color-wise. It's very wide. Oh, that's not too bad. But I would say this one has the feel of, again, a low counter tier. I probably would take it over the Bordeaux shirt for what it's worth, and I think a lot of that does come down to things like the retro crest, but it does do a lot of work. And you could say it's boring, the colorway, but I actually do quite like the white and black there. It's still low candle, so this is not one of Umbro's most prominent designs this year, but it's that's not bad at all. Again, there's much better ones if you're looking for an Umbro kit. But let's go there. There's a good gap, and that puts Umbro. Again, they're having quite a good year so far. We'll bump them down slightly. That's the Ipswich third kit. Let's keep going. We're on a roll. FC Utrecht. Now this is a Castor kit. Castor have come under the spotlight somewhat. I must say this is a pretty nice design in terms of the look of it. The colour isn't sort of my favourite. It's a bit of a kind of tropical blue, very, very vibrant blue. I do like the pattern again on the back, and that's a small thing which so many clubs just simply don't do. So you like to see that, and the design is pretty smart. I think it's a funny thing really. There's a fine line, I would say, when you've got an all-over pattern like this. I like ones that are a bit more abstract like this, where you've got obviously elements of, well, I say obviously, it looks like elements of the stadium, or it could be buildings around the city or whatever, but I like that this is a slightly kind of less literal interpretation compared to what you sometimes see from these kind of stadium or map or city-based designs. So I think, honestly, in a slightly in a colour that I like a bit more, I think this could easily be in a kind of flames tier territory. As is, I think it's more like a high candle, but I think this is actually pretty good from Castor. And they are actually, you know, despite their problems, there are some good Castor shirts. Of course, with the issues around the Villa shirts and the very high profile kind of Newcastle switch, it's not been a great year as a whole in terms of PR for Castor, on top of the quality control issues that they are well known for in the community. But I think we'll give them credit where credit's due here. I actually like this one quite a bit. And, you know, shirts in this range, and I keep saying this, but I will mention it again. The kind of average line is somewhere around, I would say, the middle of the candle tier. So actually, this is, despite being in the third tier, I would say this is actually an above average design. And indeed, one of the better Castor shirts we've seen this year. So let's bump them up a bit. And I like it. I do like it from FC Utrecht and the boys at Castor. What about Dundee United? Now this immediately makes you think of another Scottish team, Hearts, who did a very popular anniversary kit. Now, did we actually rank that one? I can't remember if that was on our on the list. If it wasn't, it could have been on a week where we missed it. I mean, I'm looking at the higher end, the higher tiers, and maybe it was ranked lower. Again, I should never do this live really, but trying to scan through, I don't think it's been ranked, or we ranked it in the lower tiers. So that could be one that slipped through the cracks. But regardless, if it is there, I apologise. But not quite as attractive. I mean, what I will say is, so I don't dislike a deeper placket. Now, I would like to see perhaps a couple more buttons on that placket, but you know, that is what it is. The style isn't a problem. Now what? And I appreciate, you know, they've gone for the monochrome details, but the sponsor, when it's a shirt like this, even though it is in all white, it just feels like you'd rather have it, you know, underneath like smaller somewhere else. So it's honestly pretty nice as a white-out shirt. You can see it in the full effect there. But I do think there are better examples of this style. As is, I think it has the kind of feel of a mid to high candle tier, so not too bad at all. And Araya, I think, are a brand who, again, are doing a lot of good work, and you know, they feel like, certainly in that, we mentioned Kappa, they're certainly in and around that kind of level, and a very competitive tier, it must be said, of manufacturers. Araya are one of those brands who do a lot of good work, and I think Dundee will stick them there. Let's try and find Araya now. There they are. So again, we do need to do a bit of a shifty. Let's go like that. Again, let's just do a bit of a change there. Apologies, I've just oh, that's not supposed to happen. I've just messed up the stream there, haven't I? Yes, that's why I shouldn't. Now the chat's gone there. 1 second, guys. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do this live on stream, so apologies. There. Now, where has that panel gone? Again, apologies for the technical glitch there. So I think what's happened here. How's that looking? Is that better? That's pretty good. Oh dear. Yeah, technical difficulties. It must be said, but I think we're back. We're back where we need to be, and let's get at the eBay scene, which also doubles as the. There we go. That's the hot wall. So that was who was that? Dundee. So pretty solid effort overall. Not too excited. I mean, the novelty is wearing off for these kind of designs. What about America de Cali? Now, this is Lecoq Sportif, a brand who I really like, a brand which I often kind of come back to as one of the better brands who I'd like to see more of. In terms of the style here, pretty smart. I think the pattern, it's got that kind of broadly retro feel. Love to see it on the back. That's a really big plus. And it's pretty smart. I would like perhaps to see a little bit of red coming through, little flecks of red. And I think for this to really be considered in the higher end, like the crest application, that's excellent. We really want kind of an embossed pattern or a jacquard to really take this to the higher tiers. But I would still say this is knocking on the door of the flame steel. I think this is the kind of style, the kind of pattern which, though it's perhaps a bit obvious to go down the kind of broadly retro aesthetic, I like the execution. I think there's something to be said about, again, patterns on the back and just generally, the kind of the way this pattern's been made. I think is pretty good. It's certainly to my taste. I like the black and red scheme, and this definitely feels at home in this sort of, this sort of region. Let's go here. I like that. This is again Lecoq Sportif, and there they are. There, we'll bump them up slightly. Pretty good for America de Cali, and we keep rocking on with Argentinos Juniors. Now this is their third shirt. Kind of a distressed, grungy look. Now, I must say, and long-time viewers will know my thoughts on designs with kind of words, and it's not really my kind of thing. The sash is decent, but I'm not sure about the gradient. I feel like I'd rather that was a bit more solid. I like nice presentation box and the gold. Yeah, it's kind of got the black and gold, hasn't it? With the red, it's not really. I think it's a little bit too much, a bit too busy, and we just mentioned about the aesthetics of the pattern on America de Cali shirt. I like that a bit more compared to this Argentinos Juniors. I mean, I love the crest. It's obviously got the big South American vibe, and that looks great. The collar's fine, unspectacular. I have to say, this one for me isn't quite doing it. I would be probably looking at my gut is telling me the lower candle tier, and there is a lot to like, but I think the execution is a bit off, or certainly not to my taste. And I actually think almost a plain shirt without the pattern I'd probably like it more, and perhaps these kind of details could be done as little patches or a jock tag inside neck, maybe on the sleeves, and allow the kind of base to kind of breathe a little bit more. But that is who was that? Umbro. So Umbro, I mean, we'll stick them there. It's very competitive in this area of the tier list for brands. But that is the Argentinos Juniors shirt, or Juniors shirt, I should say. How's Hammarby doing? Still the same number of bids. We will finish with that, I think, on the stream. So we'll see what that one goes for. Let's go to Go Ahead Eagles, a team who I have a bit of fondness for. They're one of my, or they were one of my go-to kind of football manager teams. I must say, I love the colour combo of the cream and the gold. Really nice, and it immediately stands out to me compared to like a black and gold kit. I think this one has a really nice and a much stronger aesthetic compared to a lot of black and gold kits, which kind of get lost in the crowd now. The crest has been recolored. All the sponsors there looking good. Now the pattern itself, not in love with it, but it's not too prominent, and I think the overall vibe of this one is really good. I'm enjoying this again from a colour perspective. Lovely to see 2 buttons. It's a small thing, guys, but you know that I just not a big one button collar guy, but I do like this one quite a bit. And I think this one, despite that pattern being a bit kind of throwaway, I think that pattern a bit stronger, a bit more kind of intricate, a bit more detailed, this would have a shot at the higher end of the Flames tier. I'm still going to stick it in the Flames tier though. I do like it quite a bit, and I really think it comes down to those colours. The off-white, which, you know, we mentioned black and gold. Off-white, of course, is a bit of a trend as well, and you can see even in this tier a number of shirts that fall into that category. But I think in combination with the pale gold, it really does work well, and I like it there, guys. I like it kind of here. And this is the brand Stano. Now, I don't know if we have Stano on the list. I believe they are Dutch, and they certainly do work with a couple of teams in the Netherlands. And I'm looking for Stano. I can't see them. Of course, if I have missed them, I do apologise. But let's get them on the board. And again, I'm furiously trying to look around. Of course, because of the number of gaps, we haven't done this. Clearly shows that we've not done the home or away go ahead Eagles kit. But there we go. That's Stano. A great debut on the hot ball, and I really do like that. I really think the color combo is strong. What about hashtag United? Now these guys moving over to Adidas. Zerubbabel, thank you, my friend, saying appreciate the content. Appreciate you, my friend, thank you for the kind words. I do this for you guys, and I mean, in many ways, you know, it's one thing to kind of create the content, and any content creator, I get enjoyment out of it, of course, but seeing you guys enjoy it makes all the difference. So thank you for stopping by and just for commenting. That's about appreciate it, my friend. Now this set of kits for hashtag, both Adidas templates. They're not bespoke, but they are quite smart. This has the feel of a kind of United kit, doesn't it? Of the kind of Snowflake United kit. You love seeing the pattern on the back, and I do think that pattern, it does have a kind of, I think the aesthetic matches hashtag quite well. And indeed, I really like, this is actually one of my favourite of the Adidas catalogue or the kind of template designs. Looks great, you know, a bit of a pre-match feel to it, but I mean, generally speaking, most of the versions of this have been absolutely top tier, and I think this is excellent. So I really do like that that home kit. The away kit is a bit lower for me, but I think, again, despite it not being bespoke or anything, I would still rank it probably. I think the away, kind of lower to mid candle, and the home, higher end of the candle tier. So a solid set of kits by all accounts. And it's funny because, yes, you would like to see, for every team in the world, you'd like to see bespoke designs, but actually sometimes you've just got to make the most of the deal you're in, and I think hashtag have done that. Two really smart choices. So here, you know, I like this around here, and of course we've got Adidas, so we'll nudge them down one or two pegs. But then the home kit, I think, is particularly good. To be honest, I actually think there's an argument to be made for it sneaking into the Flames tier. I would probably go the higher end of the counter tier, but I wouldn't blame you for putting it higher. in your own personal rankings. Very, very solid. Very, very solid from hashtag United. I was ashamed to see the Hummel deal fall through. And indeed, I spoke to hashtag for Hummel and they're behind the Chevron series. Had a really good time chatting with them. Really sound. Seb there, who I met, was really sound. And a great story, and I think they're doing some really cool work. Alas, that is them. We'll move about that slightly. That is their home and away kit for this year. Pretty decent. Now, I don't believe Fiorentina are going to be wearing this shirt, so we will not rank it because we're only making shirts one on the pitch. But that's a very nice looking retro shirt, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Limited edition as well. Very cool pickup. What about Botafogo? Now, this is a Reebok kit, and you've got to love Reebok coming back into the scene, haven't you? I must say, I really like the look of this one. I think this is awesome. This is a very, a great little jock tag there. Speedwick. Look at this. Back crest or behind the crest detail, which is awesome. And I really think that design looks good. I like the kind of star here, and I really like the kind of approach, the kind of zoomed in look there. And of course, the sponsor is coloured to match the design here, or vice versa. I don't know. It's a chicken and egg situation. Perhaps it's been recolored to match the sponsor, but interested to see the Reebok logo in the yellow. But I don't mind that. I think the overall look of this one is actually really good. I think this is a Flames t-shirt. I maybe it's the nostalgia kicking in, and Reebok are one of those brands who do have a bit of extra kind of draw, I would say. But I think you've got the jock tag, which we don't often see, but I really like that area of the shirt being utilised. This is great. I'm happily going to stick this in the Flames tier, and nothing too high. We're not gonna go anything in the kind of middle to high end of that tier, but I would be quite comfortable putting it around here next to the Newcastle shirt there. And it's really good stuff. And Reebok as a brand, where are they sitting now? Again, interestingly, despite my professing my love for the brand, not been feeling their kits too much up to this point, but we'll move them up. I'm guessing they had a couple of shockers, did they, down here? I'm not sure. It could simply be that we've not had many Reebok kits. But let's move them up there. A bit of a ways to go to catch up at the top of the tier list. But that's the Botafogo 4th. Certainly a kit which I think actually has a lot going for it. I think we'll probably let's have a look. Where did we get to last time? We got to the Legia Warsaw. No, I'm skipping forward a bit here. I just want to kind of see how many kits we have not done. Okay, so we have a little bit more to do. So that's, I've got a lot to catch up on, to be honest. Beyond that, I feel like that's a nice place to pause the Hot Wall for this week. Let's have a bit of a review, and then we'll come on to Hammarby as we close. So we started the day with the Carnival shirt, the Cologne Carnival shirt, a rare addition to the Volcano tier, and indeed we had a few Flames 2 entries. So overall, pretty good. And the tier list, which yes, there was a lot to fill in. So take this with a pinch of salt, somewhat, but already you can see it continuing to fill out. And I'm pretty happy with looking at this. One of the reasons I like to do this is just to kind of get a snapshot view. Okay, so when people ask you what are your favourite shirts of the year, I can kind of say, okay, yeah, Adidas absolutely nailed it for the Women's World Cup. but we saw some really strong efforts from a few other brands as well. A couple of Hummel kits there. Personally, I really rated AC Milan's collaboration kit from last season. One of the things we like to do at the end of the year as well, so when we get to like December, we'll do a bit of a kind of retrospective, move a few kits up and down, because sometimes you get to the end of the year and you know there's just kits which you actually end up a lot higher on than when you first saw them, and vice versa. So, you know, there's a couple of kits already I'm thinking, okay, I probably would move down from the Volcano tier, and conversely, shirts where kind of this range where I actually think would have a shot at being a bit higher. But anyway, that's the hot wall. Let's save the document before we do anything else. Last thing we want to do is lose that. And then, guys, it's nearly time for eBay. So as we close, and I do want to say thank you. There's just a few of us in at the moment, but thank you for tuning in. Especially thank you to those who have commented. Shout out to Rodrigo, our latest subscriber, and indeed someone who's contributed a lot to tonight. But yeah, always good to hang out. And as we close, we're going to go in for the Hammarby shirt. Now, I'm going to stick in a bid for this design. There we go. And thank you, Superbell. Always a pleasure. We'll be doing the same every Tuesday, barring Champions League nights. We won't be streaming on Champions League nights, simply because there's a bit of competition for views, shall we say. But we will be streaming, and indeed there will also be weekly videos for the channel. This week's video is going to be a fun one. I'm going to be doing what I'm calling the A to Z of football shirts, going through a bunch of kind of terms you need to know, famous designers or brands, and just kind of basically doing a bit of a fun glossary, a fun walk through key football shirt things, basically. The alphabet of football. We've got a few suggestions for the community as well. So yeah, it should be good fun. That should be going live hopefully at the end of the week if I can get the editing done in time. If not, it'll be the start of next week. And we've got a bunch of other videos already on the channel. More to come. Right, guys. If we head to eBay, since we last checked out this shirt, there's already been some action. So what's funny is, because I'm like, basically just doing this in front of you all, I don't think we've had it yet where a viewer has sniped me, but of course you can kind of see what I'm bidding most of the time. I did actually bid a blind bid, or I didn't show you on stream what I chose to bid for, but that has been outbid. So with a few minutes to go, this is the classic eBay situation. I'm trying to now think, okay, how much higher do I want to go? Now, I think I would be comfortable bidding a bit more, but at the same time, I'm not in a situation where I'm sort of desperate for the shirt. So I think I'd be happy to go a little bit above 20 quid. And I think it's certainly worth that. And, we talked about kind of trying to establish the price of this one. I think the market value of this one is certainly a bit higher. I would estimate it to be around close to 40 quid. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. But my kind of estimate, my best guess would be, and by market value, what I mean is kind of, what I would think the shirt was worth on the retail market. Typically, a market value would be lower than something like, for example, with classic football shirts. If they had this shirt, they'd probably be selling it for 60 plus quid. But there's always a bit of a markup with those guys, as I'm sure most of you know. But I like this one a lot, and I do think, again, it's in the right size, or the best size, really. I'm going to do this again. You guys will see what I'm bidding, so you can certainly outbid me. But I think if we go in for 22 crown, let's go 22. This could get immediately outbid, of course. And what would be really funny is if the other bidder was watching this stream. But at 20 quid, that seems to be, well, we're currently winning, of course, a long way to go. I think I'm happy to walk away at 22 quid as the highest bid. Again, I do think this is the kind of shirt which is worth that price, and it's the kind of thing where I would say broad, a bit like the Brazil shirt before. It's one I might keep, I might sell. It's not one which I'm sort of desperate. I would be desperately trying to flip instantly. My approach to my collection is quite fluid. I like to buy and sell shirts, and I typically like to sell shirts in order to buy kits, partly just to kind of keep a nice rotation. And I only wear 20%, 30% of my collection perhaps. But sometimes you buy a shirt, and again I mentioned this before, but you buy a shirt and it actually just fits really well, feels really good to wear, and it ends up being one which I keep, even though I thought maybe I would sell it on. So we can see already 22 quid, so there's some action. I'm expecting to be outbid, but we're currently winning with 45 seconds. A lot can change in that time, of course. But I like this one a lot, and I think this is, again, a really kind of, you don't see many Hammarby shirts for sale, and I think this is, I'm far from a Hammarby shirt expert, but I think this particular Kappa template is a really good one. I love, again, that the visible stitching. I think that is personally a really strong look. Again, we're winning with 30 seconds to go. Will we get our bid? It's only going to take one bid basically to outbid us, but so far so good. Again, we've been sniped at the last second, but that's okay. I'm happy that great price for the winner there. You win some, you lose some. I think having already got the Brazil shirt earlier, that kind of takes a bit of the sting out of it. But great stuff, and it's a loss. We'll hold the L, but overall, it's been a good night on eBay. Lots of action, and this is just great, guys. This is exactly the kind of thing. Like, eBay is funny for all the pros and cons of eBay. This is exactly what you want to see. A nice pickup below market value, a bit of a niche item, but this kind of stuff really makes a collection. Yeah, you always like, of course, you want to kind of have, your more typical shirts, end of season sale pickups, M&M Direct stuff, that sort of stuff. But these are the ones where you buy something like this for 20 quid and you keep it for a few years, and either you've got something that you can definitely sell on for a bit more, or actually you've just got a nice item in your collection. So there we go. That was the Hammarby shirt. We didn't win it, but we did get the Brazil shirt. So overall, pretty good night on eBay, and some good times on the hot wall. Thank you guys so much once again. If you are, watching this on catch up, maybe you're watching this at a later date, you're not watching this live. You can certainly join us on future streams on Tuesdays that are not Champions League nights. So feel free to pop in for a live stream. You can also, of course, subscribe to the channel, just like Rodrigo did earlier. And if you want to support me a bit further, if you want to support me as a content creator, get an insight into the beginnings of my journey as a shirt designer and all sorts of fun stuff, it's all happening at my Patreon. You can check out the link to that in the description. The big thing that you get is a shirt as part of your support, and the current shirt is perhaps the best one yet, the Icarus Cup shirt. You get that as part of your support. Depending on the tier, you simply get the shirt quicker, but you get that Icarus Cup shirt with a number as part of your support. All the details are in the link in the description. But thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you for your time. Great to hang out. Always good to chat with you guys about football kits, which is what we love to do. I'm gonna leave us with the outro scene. But again, it's been good as always. Look out for this week's video, the A to Z of football shirts that will be coming out in the next few days, hopefully. And yeah, until then, I'll be chatting with some of you on Slack, the Patreon group. If not, I'll be on Twitter and elsewhere. Thank you guys, all the best, and I'll see you for the next stream.